We've completed our learning for our first success criteria. I can plan professional development that is aligned with the priorities of my school or district. I hope you feel confident as you move forward in planning your PD. Our next success criteria is I can understand and use best practices when delivering professional development. There are 4 key items to consider when delivering professional development. Guided practice with continued support, plan for engaged learning, allow for choice when possible, develop and follow a well-planned agenda. Let's look at each of these pieces more closely. Remember earlier I discussed the article from the Center for American Progress that outlined specific things that made professional development successful? The author, Jenny DeMonte, states, professional development is about teaching teachers. High-quality professional learning does so with an eye on using what teachers already know and providing and building on that expertise to improve their teaching. It is not about pouring content into teachers and then expecting them to instantly use what they learn. Just as students need to learn new content and skills over many days and many lessons, teachers also benefit from sustained professional learning that builds over time. Guided practice with continued support is that piece that helps teachers learn new content and skills through teaching, modeling, practice, and applying. Then the continued support comes from the coach over many days and many lessons that build over time. Let's start with the 4 key parts of guided practice. They are teach, model, practice, and apply. Let's take a close look at the specifics of these components and how the responsibility of the coach and the teacher shifts as you move through each of these essential pieces of professional learning. The teach portion is the explicit part of the learning. It is clear, focused, based on the content so that the learners understand the why behind the learning. They also understand what it is and what it is not. During this component, the coach is presenting the information and the teachers are listening, making connections, and asking questions. The coach or instructor provides an explicit model of the teaching strategy or activity that they desire the teachers to learn and apply during the model portion of guided practice. A visual demonstration is more likely to be remembered by teachers than just an explanation. During the practice component, the coach works with the teachers to ensure they understand and are clear about their new learning. This is the time coaches give feedback as the teachers try out their new strategies. It's also a time where teachers can try out their learning in a safe environment with the coach while the coach is giving guidance. In order to help teachers fully apply their new learning, you'll want to observe their practice. This should take place in their classroom with their students. You'll want to give meaningful feedback. You can even cycle back to the model and practice if a teacher needs more explicit help. Following this guided practice framework will ensure a more solid understanding and the sustained professional development that DeMonte says is the key to developing long-term improvement. Let me share an example of how I use the guided practice model during a professional development focused on using decodable texts as part of a phonics lesson. First, I taught the teachers about the why and the how behind using the decodable text to help teachers apply the phonics skills they are learning during that week of phonics instruction. Then I modeled a phonics lesson and demonstrated how on the first day I would have the students highlight the words with the phonics pattern and then read the words and then finally the text, and then what would take place on the following days using that decodable. Then we practiced a short phonics lesson as a whole group and have the teachers take turns directing their students, which were actually the teachers, on how to identify and read the words in the text and then go back and support them in reading the whole text, not just the words. Following this practice, the teachers chose a time to apply the skill in their classroom while I could come in and I could either co-teach with them if they were feeling a little uncomfortable with it, or just observing and giving feedback depending on their comfort level. Another best practice to include in your professional development is to plan for engaged learning. When we provide professional learning for teachers, we also want to make sure we model quality teaching practices. Student engagement is a key quality teaching practice. Make sure when you're planning your PD, you're planning to have teachers engage in the learning. On the Strive TLC Coaching website, you can find a copy of the PD engagement cards. I have loved using these ideas in my professional development in the past. Many of the ideas are simple ones, and they can be incorporated easily into your professional development. One I really like to use that I found is the physical responses. With this engagement activity, you ask the teacher to do a physical response for a question that you've asked. For example, I've asked, how often did you refer to your learning target during your last lesson? And the teachers can hold up a finger for how often, or stand if they refer to it in the at least once. It's very helpful to get teachers thinking and engaging in the learning. Another engagement card I've used is the 30-15-5. This activity really helps teachers synthesize their learning. It's just a little quicker version of Think, Pair, Share. Go to the website and look over the PD engagement cards and see what ways you can engage your teachers during your professional development. There are actually 2 pages. This is the first one, and this is the second one of the PD learning. Now, let's take a little break and do a little work. So once you've taken a little break, go ahead and come back. Read over page 1 and 2 of the PD engagement cards. You can either do it from this video or on the Strive TLC website, and that would be under the Professional Development and Meetings bundle. Then choose 3 different activities that you think would be a great way to engage teachers in your next professional development.